which is the same. Which is the same. It's the kind of gas that gets produced by, like in a swamp. It's for organisms that don't need oxygen to survive. So now
Right.
people, now they're speculating, well, could there have been life on Mars because of that, And then other people are saying that it's,
You mean life on Venus? Life on Venus?
Venus, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was pictures that NASA sent back, that rover thing's going around, sent back, hi Angel, hi Emma, sent
Hey,
back
guys.
pictures of what looks like non-natural structures. In other words, that they were made by something. And so people are all over that thing too now that, it looks like kind of an old, like walls of something, the way it was built. And so people are, speculating again on Mars that there was life or could be life somewhere. I don't know.
Well, I mean, is it that far fetched? I mean, look. I'm just gonna let my brain kind of expand here and just kind of postulate this. Is it that unbelievable that considering human existence is not that long in terms of the universe, that there were other so-called life forms somewhere else in this vast, vast universe? I mean, I don't think it's not that hard for me anyway. It's not that hard of a stretch. If anything, I think it's a little bit short-sighted for the human race to think it's so important. It's the only race, if you will, human exists. It's the only existence that can have sentient being. I think
Oh,
that's
I'm that
absurd.
important. I'm that important.
Huh? What?
Well,
I said I'm that important. I think it is only about us.
It's only about us. Okay.
Don't worry
Well,
about me. So
well, I think
you're the center of the universe.
statistically, there's got to be life in other places in the universe. There's just no possible way. It's just that what we call life and what the other life is might be completely different than whatever we expect. Who knows? I mean, there's just too much out there to say that there's no other planet or whatever anywhere that doesn't have something going on. That's it for me.
Sure.
I think
Look,
a lot of it with respect to Earth is a lot of it was caused by, well, in days gone by, it was caused by just pure ignorance, but then it was also caused by religion. I mean, that this is it, God fixed this up and that's the end of it, no place else. So,
Well,
that's what I think.
happened.
What?
That's what happened.
I believe in science, like the Hubble telescope. They're discovering
Do we
more
need a
planets
Bible
and more-
lesson? Do we need me to get it out? We're gonna do a Bible lesson.
no, we don't. That's exactly our point at the moment, which is let's just put aside the Bible for a second and religion and basically indulge our imaginations, I guess is the way to put it, which actually, to me, I mean, now we're really, whoa, what happened to our show? We were just, crazy old racists. Now we're totally esoteric philosophers, visionaries. But this is the way I look at it. Let me get my piece out and then we can all comment. I like it. I like it, though. I like it.
I'm gonna get out my clergy card.
What I'm saying is, look, first of all, we don't even know the capacity of our own brains, and we don't know if we were to utilize the entire capacity of our brains, what we would actually discover just by knowing what we already know without, what I mean, by just mining our own existence, if you will, our own human capacity. So that being the case, and considering that, this is the way I look at it. It sounds simplistic, but I'm going to say it, and then let's see what the reaction is. If we don't remember prior to our own birth, and obviously nobody does, and very few people can remember very early on in their existence in terms of years, human existence. What makes you think that there's going to be anything after you pass from this sentient situation into not being in this situation? And the quote is, "We are electrical energy passing through a human phase." The universe has existed, we can't even fathom how long it's existed beyond our own existences. I mean, we wake up every day being ourselves, and whether we like it or not, that's where we're stuck. But that doesn't mean that we can't utilize our brains to imagine what a situation might be if our own existence is not prevalent in our capacity to think about the universe. That's what I wanted to say. I'm kind of saying it very succinctly, just so we can get into the discussion. And
I'll be happy to go first if you like.
yeah, is it going to be religious? Because if it is, then we're going to be shut down as far as our imaginations. I'm saying put aside the religious thing first, and just let your imagination run wild. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't have that. But
Oh, you don't have it. Oh,
make it short and simple. I put on my glasses so you guys will believe me because I know I look smarter when I wear glasses. No, I do. I had an employee tell me that one time. He's like, "Hey, can you go with me to somewhere visit?" And I was like, "Sure." And he goes, "Bring your glasses. You look smarter." I was like, "Hell yeah."
They do that, wait a minute, Angel, they do that in porn too for a certain effect, but it doesn't mean they're smarter. Anyway, sorry.
And I
all right, let her have her piece. Let's go. Let's go.
ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys
in
what I
show
tell
format.
other
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, when I'm counseling non-believers,
Which is us, but go ahead.
okay, that's fine. Here's what I
Emma's
say.
like, speak for yourself. Anyway, yeah.
I don't know for sure because no one knows for sure, right? It's a belief that you have in something you haven't seen, felt, touched, whatever, okay?
Faith.
I get that. It's a faith-based belief. But what I tell people when I'm counseling them and they don't believe that there's something after like a heaven, I just say, I'm going to take my chances on that one. I think I'd rather be right and think there is than to be wrong and find out there is after the fact.
Emma, go ahead.
No, I think Emma was just saying ouch.
Oh, well, I thought you had her thing ready to go. Go ahead.
I just figured out how to turn the sound on like maybe 3 minutes ago. So I'm just now hearing what you guys are saying.
I don't know how we were on a very existential argument about the nature of human existence versus the universe and whether there's life other than human on outside of our own planet even. And I think actually we had never really went into this on our show because we've been so earthbound, if you will, with and almost mundane topics about humans. I mean, if we were to look at ourselves, step away from the being human and all that stuff, like imagine that you're looking at the earth and you would find it quite silly that humans are fighting with each other, if you will, over religion or race or beliefs. But anyway, I'll throw that out there. But Emma, did you have something that you wanted to say about this? Because we are talking about faith in a sense.
Yeah, it is strange, but you know, we are spirits made in God's image. God is a spirit. We just happen to be living in these bodies, the shell of a human form. But yeah, if I think if our spirits were to look down on us and try to assess the situation, yeah, it would be silly. There's some silly stuff going on.
Well, I hope there are people on other planets or whatever things, maybe not people. I believe there's people there. You know, there was a time when the giants came to Earth, the fallen angels, the Nephilims. Okay. Well, I just
then,
hope
you
they
know,
have
they're
good
picking up
views.
giant
That's all I
bones
care about.
all over the place. So they came from somewhere, and it wasn't here.
Well, since I was a kid, I was brainwashed about, souls and all this other stuff and spirits. And now I don't think that any of it is true. I mean, again, like you said, Angel, nobody knows what happens because nobody really, because when you die and you're gone, that's it. No, you really, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in any of that stuff. So, when you're gone, you're gone. And what started to get me was that you can alter, you say, well, the being inside you is what stays on. And then I said, well, okay, but you could take drugs that affect your brain, which make you think differently and do things. And therefore that's just, it's everything that's going on, everything that you think and everything that you see and everything that you say are chemical reactions going on in your brain. And, you know, when you're dead, those reactions are stopped. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't see it as, okay, you know,
Well,
this
those
is
chemical reactions up here are scary. Like right here, they're scary. Chemical right here. Woo.
no, but I mean, it's like, you know, when I was, the way I was taught in religion was that, you know, we had immortal souls and that's it. Trees don't, you know, mice don't, everything else doesn't.
Right.
How anybody, and I understand about faith, and I think it's great if people believe things, because obviously whatever can help you get through your life, that's good. But, you know, I was raised, I don't see any of it anymore, because it just doesn't, there's no proof of anything as far as I'm concerned like that.
Interesting. Interesting point from a retired person, because you're saying that you've gone through all this, and when I say all this, I don't mean this is the end, but what I'm not being facetious. I mean, you've lived a complete life, if you will. For a lot of people, that is a complete life, what you've lived, Lenny. Because I just read about a guy who's 65. He's a year older than me. He's gone. And of course, these are luminaries. These are people that, in the New York Times, they feel they're elevated to the point where they need to write about them, that they die. The dude is a year older than me, regardless of what he accomplished. He might have been an ambassador. He did this. And you've come to the statement, if not the realization, that, okay, I don't see it. I don't see us as having anything beyond what we exist within at the moment, and that we can, and a lot of it has to do with chemical reactions. And believe it or not, I really think about this every day, because I'm constantly reminded by my girlfriend, now I'm being a little facetious, that I'm old. Oh, you're 64. You know what I mean? She's younger than me. She's like 11 or 12 years younger. So she's like, oh, you're an old man. And I was like, just telling her just a minute ago, before we started the show, I said, look, I'm going to go to Harvard to get a PhD, because I've already gone through a JD and a master's at Columbia. So I figure I can roll that into a PhD. Oh, well, then you'll be so old when you get it, it won't matter, because you won't be able to get a job and you'll be old and this and that. Well, I'll be the same age regardless if I go there or not. You know what I'm saying? But my point is that I'm going to listen to what Leonard is saying. He's older than me, I presume, and he's gone through all this to come out at the other. He's a bit older. He could come out at the end and go, "Hey, I don't see it," and I'm kind of like, it's not that I don't, and I'm being brutally honest now. This is not comedy. I do think about it every morning, believe it or not, because I'm like, well, why the fuck am I like working hard now and getting up and fighting COVID? Like, it's not really fighting COVID. It's fighting the mentality of COVID, which has totally subsumed my girlfriend, but I refuse to let it affect me now. You know what I mean? I did pare down. I did stay out of it when the governor said you have to lock down, you can't go to the office. And more I'm beginning to see that. I asked people, even somebody who's working for me right now, the young lady, and I said, do you know anybody who has COVID? She goes, no. And I'm like, neither do I. I mean, I've heard about it. I heard my brother's sister-in-law, and she's had it, but nobody else in her family got it, even though she was around them. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. This may be Emma, maybe you want to go with me on this.
I'm with you on this one.
This may be nothing more than what I've already faced all my life. And I'm not crying right now, and I'm you guys know me. I'm not going to play the victim, but you know, I always used to say, and I still believe it. I'm not going to let my life be defined by accident of birth. If JFK Jr., who unfortunately passed away, and I'm not celebrating it, but if JFK Jr. can graduate from law school and the next year, after passing the bar only after 3 or 4 tries and barely working at a DA's office, can have his own magazine, I'm not going to let myself be mired in an accident of birth where I have no money and no contacts and this and that and other things, and that's going to define what my life is about.
He was hot, though. Let's mention
He was. JFK Jr. was very. I stood with him in an elevator, and I lifted him.
Oh my gosh, I would have died.
Yeah, and I looked up because he was tall. He was about 6'1", 6'2". And I looked up and I was like, I recognize that guy. And my ex-girlfriend was with me, and she looked at him and she started smiling. And I'm like, whoa, that is JFK Jr. And he's a good-looking, strong, strapping guy. And I won't take it away from him. But my point is that what I will take away from him, though, or at least I will measure up myself to him at the time anyway, and maybe even now, is that his circumstances were much different than my circumstances when I came into the world and continued on with public schools and so forth. So my point being, and again, I want feedback. I want to hear how people think.
Well,
I want to hear Lenny. I want to hear everybody.
Okay, well, listen. If you compare life in some respects to a race, let's say it's a mile race.
Yeah.
JFK Jr. started that race. You started at the starting line. I started at the starting line.
Yeah.
JFK Jr. started at about halfway around the halfway
Yeah.
in the race. He was a half mile ahead of us because you can't discount the fact of where he came from. That he had opportunity. He could go to law school. He could fail. He could try over and over because he had enough money that it didn't matter. So
Right.
I agree with you. You can make whatever you can out of your life. I'm not denying that, and you can become successful, wealthy, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But some people start off, way ahead of other people in the race. It's not all at the starting line. It's what a staggered start is.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a staggered start. So some people are getting it, and some people aren't. So I got to say
agree
one
with
thing
that.
about aging. Depending upon, I was talking about this with somebody at the gym yesterday. Some things have happened to me over the last year or a half or whatever.
Right.
And it's changed things for me, and it's changed my, how do I say this? Future, so to speak.
Mm.
So
It's
I
when
said-
you met me, right, Lenny?
well, that was a good thing. What I'm talking about isn't a good thing. It's something bad.
No,
Sounds
no.
dire. Yeah, I'm reading between the lines, but go ahead. Yeah.
So it was, so you start to think completely differently now, oh, I may have to get certain things ready, let's say, because you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and so it's just a completely different, way of how I go about my day compared to what I used to. I mean, I said this, geez, a year and a half ago, I was healthy, and then now I'm not, that's the way it goes. But it seems like I turned into an old person like overnight, and it sucks. But that's how, and it's still in my head. I still want to do all these things, and you start to think, well, when you're at the second half or the quarter of what's going on, you don't have all those years like you did when you were 25. So if you're
Right.
gonna get stuff done, you got to get it done.
This is uplifting.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I
not
get
saying. Well, I'm not saying that. You have to listen. Life, it has its ups and downs. You have to deal with things as they come along, and that's the way it is. It's life, and some people have really shit things happen to them early on in life and have to go through a lot of bad stuff. But it's that's the way life is. And as far as you just, I think in general, when you get to a certain, as you get older, you start to think, first of all, you have so many years of memories, and then you start to, and so many people you've met, and so many experiences you've had. So you start to, you say, wow, that's a lot of shit. And how much more shit can you have? I mean, I don't know.
Well, Lenny, I will say that in my brief 38 years, you're one of my very favorite people I've ever met. Like, I can listen to you
Thank you.
all day. I may not agree with what you tell me, but I literally treasure everything out of your mouth. That sounded weird. I didn't mean
We're that's going to be said at your funeral, Lenny. That she will stand up and say that. By the way.
I will speak it. I can do your funeral if you want. I mean, I'm an ordained minister. I'll be happy to do the funeral.
There you go.
It's funny. I had my father's oldest brother passed away 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And he wasn't religious at all. So my cousins, and he was my godfather. So my cousins came and said, look, and I don't know why they picked me, but they did. Would you talk, give a eulogy at his funeral? So I said, oh, all right. I'd never done that. And so as I'm typing up stuff, I start to realize, I might get nervous, and also I typed it all up so that I had it in front of me. And I am so, and I, I knew what I kind of was going to say, but I was so glad I did, because what happened was I got like 4 sentences in, and I'm like bawling like an asshole in front of everybody. And I'm like, when I was done, I felt like a complete idiot, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that I don't know how many years later, 5 years, whatever it was, my father's younger brother passed away. So my cousin comes to me and goes, "Hey, Lenny, would you do that thing that you did at Uncle Gene's wedding? Would you do that thing?" So I had to do the same thing at his funeral, and the same thing happened. But at least I knew the second time that, I think, again, as you get older, one of the things that happens is you lose testosterone. So I can become, I could be thinking about my granddaughter and start crying. It's tough.
We don't mourn for the loss of the departed. We mourn for our own mortality.
Well, we mourn because we miss what we had with them. Like I
And
miss my grandfather.
that's our own mortality. And that's proving to us, if you will, that our own mortality is right there. Yeah.
And my grandmother's probably going to pass very soon. I'm happy for her to be in heaven because she's been ready to go forever. But I'm sad for me. But it's not what it used to be anyway. Like I can't go home. I can't go to the house and sit and hang out with them. It's not the same anyway. And she thinks that she gets her news out of the air vent and the.
Well, yeah, she has dementia probably.
She does. Anyway, though, on a positive note, about spirits and things and beliefs, do you guys know about Feathers?
Mm-mm.
Feathers was a gay club in New Jersey near where I used to live. Feathers.
Okay, I don't believe in a lot of like weird shit, but this I do believe in. There's a thing that says when you find a feather, especially like a white feather or a feather that's like that, you can look at all the different meanings for different colors. When you find one of these directly in your path, where you wouldn't normally find a feather, it's not like a damn feather farm. Like it's just one is right on your car door or right as you're passing. I mean, it means that someone in heaven is looking out for you, like they're taking care of you still. So I know and I have more downstairs. I save them all when I find these, because I know that means that my grandfather is still taking care of me when I find the feathers.
What does it mean if a bird shits on your head? Is that something special? Somebody down in hell is looking out for you too?
Can I say something about that?
I'm sorry.
I would punch you next time I see you.
Yeah, let's let Joel, who hasn't had a chance yet,
Yeah,
on the show.
and I kind of related to that. My father passed away. Like he was kind of young, right? He was in his 50s, which makes me think, which way am I going to go? That way, or my mother, who lived in the 90s. So which direction I'm going to go? That makes me kind of think of mortality. About how long, which of those two directions I'm going to go to. So just makes you think about that. But as far as birds go, when he died, like I heard like owl hoot outside my house, right? And anytime I hear an owl, I think he was trying to reach out to me that way. So anytime I hear an owl go hoot or bird like that, I think there's some sort of communication going on there. So maybe it's a crazy spiritual thing I have, but I guess just my personal.
No, that means something, right? When you have that happen.
Yeah. Like there's some communication, something, with the spirit, whether that's, something just affected me during that time, that I think about when I hear like.
If you see like a red bird, like a cardinal, same kind of.
I've seen that too. I've also thought about that. My niece thinks about that because my mother had red hair at one time. So she said, "Hey, look, that's a red bird. There's grandma." Stuff like that. People think of, relate animals or birds to, Yeah,
no, when I see one like in a bush outside, I'll take a picture of it to remind me that that's
right.
Just remember, it's worth more in your hand than in that bush.
Lenny, I swear to you, if you're in Florida, I'm gonna punch you.
Well, it's I think for a show like ours right now, because we have mostly people over obviously 30.
A little bit.
Yeah. And so I think that if you're not thinking about your own mortality, if you're not thinking about your existence, you're probably very unusual. Joel, I mean, you've explained this and stated it on the show. It's no secret. You had a heart procedure recently.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
so I was worried. I was literally worried, and I went through everything like even the comedians talk about of like, well, should I call him? Would I just be reminding him of I'm healthy and he's not, and
right.
and you know where he's at, and maybe he doesn't really want to hear from me. I mean, I went through that. Of course, it was quick, and I decided that's not the case. And I'm glad you're with us now. And I even went up, and Joel, you know this. We went on a trip together. I drove the car, and we went up to
Yeah.
Catskills, and
Yeah.
your wife was worried a little bit about COVID, and then also, you know,
Yeah.
how much you would extend yourself, and you know, and in terms of walking around and whatever. And I assured her we're just going to drive up, take a look at some property, and then we're going to drive back. And that's what we did. And we came back early. But
Right.
I mean, with you having faced a potentially life-threatening situation because you're going under the knife, I mean, how did you deal with that yourself? I didn't talk to you about it. This is the first we're talking.
Well,
How did you face that? Because I have never faced that. I haven't been to a doctor since '76. So you got to tell me and the rest of the panel, you know, how you dealt with that.
Well, very well. Anytime you do that, any type of no matter what it is, type of surgery, you have a lot of, or you know, any sickness at all, and you have to get it corrected. There's a lot of anxiety built up on you beforehand, right?
Mm.
And after I had that done, the anxiety, and I got through it, the anxiety disappeared. And actually, you know, I was not really that ill. You know, I had to just correct. It was like a correction. It was a valve in my heart that had to be replaced or repaired. You know, and and in the hospital, I've looked around and I saw other people next to me who are younger than me, with worse conditions. So it made me, you know, at first I felt sorry for myself, but after going through that and you know, through the procedure and the people around me like that, I felt I'm not in that bad a place, right? And like I said, you know, which direction as I just said, my father had heart problems, you know, congenital, and that's why he passed away. So I was thinking of him, you know, am I going to be that way, or can I, you know, correct it now and, you know, go on? So, you know, right now I'm in a good place about it. You know, I feel pretty good. So, but before, I think the word is more anxiety, and like Lenny said, you what if something goes wrong, and you know, I have to prepare myself. You know, like all these things. You know, prepare yourself for your family. You know, and so forth. So that's, you know, like you said, it's part of it makes you think. You know, you're getting older, and things can go wrong. And you kind of accept it, and then you move on. Pretty much that's my philosophy about that right now.
Yeah,
you know,
you can go through a like denial, and I do that all the time. Like I don't want to accept things because
Right.
I just don't want to accept them. You know, that's something that you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you say no, I'm not. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you know,
Angel.
you're like when you're younger, you're invincible, right? And then you know, you as you get old, you know, you have some flaws physically, and you have to accept it, but try not to let it stop you altogether, you know. And you know, like I said, as far as spirituality, like I said, I related to like I said, more like a spirituality with my family. If you know, maybe people want to join them one day, you know, again, and so forth. I look at it that way, in a way.
Emma's got her banana. That's why
Emma's got
Lenny.
a banana out, man.
Okay.
That's it. I'm done.
Well, what
Too
I
much?
will say is, Joel, I'm really glad. Thank you for the banana, Emma. I'm really glad that you're okay. 3 things I'll say, and then I'll let someone else go. The first thing is, A, I'm glad you're okay. B, probably not many people know, but I actually almost died, I'd say 6 years ago.
Right.
Like literally almost died. I had emergency surgery and lived. So there you have it. But it was crazy. I didn't even know I was in danger. Great surgeon. Didn't know I was about to die. but I had MRSA that was misdiagnosed by an Emory doctor and had
Mm.
spread all down my arm into my bloodstream.
Mm-mm.
Mhm. Wow.
And got to the hospital, saw the surgeon like during his lunch, and he said, go check into the hospital across the street. So I say, well, what time's my surgery? And they're like, only emergency surgeries until after 5. So of course the warden decides that's a great time to go scoot down and visit a client. So he leaves.
Mm.
An hour later, they're in there. They're like, let's go. I was like, where are we going? And they're like, to surgery. I was like, why? Only emergency surgeries until after 5. And then they're like, oh, sweetheart, you are an emergency surgery. But the doctor never let me know that, like, at all. Like, I even went on the story, left the doctor's office. He told me to go check into the hospital. I was like, I'm going to need to stop at that Kohl's and get some panties, because I don't want to be checking into the hospital with this thong on. That's going to be uncomfortable with the gown. And so I actually go to Kohl's, buy new panties, you know, get full-size jockeys so my ass isn't hanging out in my gown, and then go to the hospital. I did not know I was, like, literally on the verge of death.
Oh, boy.
Next thing, I know that you guys know that my best friend Paula, her dad passed away 2 weeks ago when I wasn't on the Sunday show.
Right.
I don't know if everyone knows, but her mom passed away the night before her dad's funeral. So she lost both of her parents within a week.
Wow.
That hits you big. Only child, so she's got a lot. I mean, granted, she became a millionaire overnight, so that's the silver lining, but it's tough. But the last thing I'll say is that when I met Paula, her family owned funeral homes and cemeteries. They ended up selling out to SCI, but I worked for Paula for a while planning funerals. And I will say that the biggest thing you can do for yourself and for your family is to get that taken care of. Whatever choice you want to make, get it done beforehand, because you don't want your family to have to go into a funeral home and make those decisions on what is probably one of the worst days of their life. You need to get it done, accept that at some point you'll need it. And
Well,
just take care of it.
I don't think in my family they'll be all that busted up. My daughter doesn't talk to me, Joel, as you know.
Right.
Ron has been not only prepared.
Piss people off, leave it for them to deal with and be like, fuck off. Good luck with that.
And theoretically, if they all survive me, and that's another big if, because as I said, I'm not like you humans.
Yeah. On this show, you brought this up. Like, I didn't really bring this up before, because I was thinking of the guy who played Black Panther. I forget his name.
Yeah. Chadwick Boseman. Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman. He didn't burn. He went through that, which I really admire, because I'm kind of, in a way, try to be like that a little bit, but not to that maybe to that extent. It was unbelievable, because he went through a colon cancer, a life-threatening situation. Didn't tell anybody.
And chemotherapy.
Yeah. And went through the chemotherapy and still, went through.
Wait a minute. Is that admirable, though? Is it really admirable? Or
he didn't want to burden everybody.
Is it selfish? Because maybe people were counting on him to not have something like that. They thought he was fully healthy. They were hiring him. They were pushing his career, and obviously he was doing his job, and that is admirable. But I mean, is that admirable that we don't recognize our own mortality and share it with other people and say, look, appreciate your life and your health, and which a lot of cliche, health is my mother, health, if you have health, you have everything, that kind of thing. But it's kind of true, because how many people that we can even name, whether famous or not, who have reached tremendous levels of success that probably not one of us on this panel will ever reach, and they died in their 30s. They died, even before 30s, like some of the rock stars. My firm belief, and this is crazy, the baby is, of course, she wants to see cartoons on this, but we still have more show to do. How many people have reached a potential, and then shortly thereafter it's over? And so that lends me to believe that you're in this situation, you're on the planet Earth to accomplish something, and then once you reach that, it's over. You've done it. Now, that sounds really, you could say pessimistic or cynical, or you could even say very short-sighted. I don't think so. I think that if you look at a lot of so-called successful people who, come on, you can roll you off the top of your head. From Abraham Lincoln to Jesus himself to JFK Jr. even. I mean, on and on and on and on. Like the guy who's 65, I just read about in the New York Times. He had done magnificent things as an academic and so forth. He's dead at 65. That's a year from now for me. Joel, for you too. You're born around the same time I am.
Yeah.
But what determines when you've hit that point? Is somebody determining that? Are you determining that, or is there some force determining that? I mean, who knows? I think you're always. I mean, I think that people. I think when you stop wanting to learn or stop learning, then you're done. But I don't know. I mean, there are plenty of people who exist to 100 years old and never really accomplished any major thing, like, anything that would be written about.
Maybe in generations, maybe not this generation, maybe not the next, but maybe their third or fourth generation, it winds up, the baby's now, the mother's here, telling her she's got to get ready for sleep, and she's not happy. The baby's hiding her face, you can see. But anyway, in other words, do we really know what is valuable in terms of our life forces versus like what the human race decides is outstanding, if you know what I mean by that? Like, it sounds bizarre, but like a Hitler lived until he couldn't live anymore. And he outlived a lot of people on this planet, let's face it, who were doing a lot more so-called good than he ever did. And other people have died as children. Some people don't even make it. They get aborted. You get where I'm going with this? Who really knows? Who really knows?
I think that's where I differ with you. It's just statistics. Some people die at a certain age, and some people it doesn't. And really, living and dying has nothing to do with what you've done in your life. Well, unless, for example, hey, look, you could look at people who were at D-Day. Some guys didn't make it off the beach, and other guys made it all the way to Berlin. I mean, who determined how that was determined? It happens. You live and then you die. And when you die, that's not something, I don't think that's predetermined. It just happens.
You know what?
The Battle of the Bulge, you know about that? World War II,
Yeah.
my grandfather was in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made him be able to live to be 93, right? Instead of all the people that died right there on the beach beside him. That's terrible. But he wanted to live to be 100.
Did he?
Hell no.
Oh, but he wanted to.
Yeah, no, he had a desire to live. My grandmother's been saying, I'm ready to meet my maker for like 20 years. No, my grandfather wanted to live, but we don't get to make those decisions. So,
you know what really hit me though? I mean, I'm glad we're actually being realistic about where we're at in terms of our ages and what we're thinking about, and actually we're within the confines of where we're at in our lives, as opposed to always joking around about sex or commenting on obviously young people's topics, including protests and this and that. I'll tell you what really kind of brought it home to me was, to me, World War II was always an abstract. I mean, I know a lot about it. I'm interested in war. You could call me a war buff. I know Civil War. But in Queens, we have a cemetery. And for whatever reason, I'm a cemetery buff. I will stop
me too.
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish, then you can join.
Me too.
I stop my car by myself, by the way. I've done stand-up comedy. And I'll go into cemeteries in small towns and look at the headstones, even the ones you can't hardly read, because in small towns in New York and so forth, they have places where people were burying each other from the 1600s or 1700s. And I'm looking at them, and I even checked the number of years the person lived. But what drove it home one time was in Queens. We have a giant cemetery on Queens Boulevard. Joe, you may know it. It's in Sunnyside. So I roll in there, and I'm by myself. I don't feel weird about it. And I get out of the car, and I'm walking, and of course it's definitely quiet, which is one of the few places in New York City that you can actually go where you know what I mean, you're not going to be hearing crazy music or people screaming or cars blaring their horns or whatever. And I'm walking around, and I'm reading the headstones. And Lenny, and actually Angel just mentioned D-Day. and I'm reading some of the headstones, and that's when it hit me that there were real people involved with World War II, because people that were only 17, 18, 19, 20, 23 are buried in that cemetery, and it says flat out on the headstone that he was at D-Day, he got on Omaha Beach, or he got on this other beach or whatever, and it tells you, and it's right there staring you in the face. Yeah. Another time I went with my ex-wife to the Ford's Theater where Lincoln was shot, and we went across the street. We went across the street to the house that he had been interred in, not interred, but I mean, he was they thought he was going to recover. He wasn't going to. And they saw the bed, and we were even in there with a weird situation. Like, we had the guy who was giving tours of the place, or a park ranger, they call him, and he was describing, he was too tall for it, and it was just us and him. It was just me, my ex, and then it hit me like, oh my God, this is real. And my ex-wife even said, when we went back across the street to where they had like his shroud or whatever, the blanket that was blood stained because he was lying there, and she said, I am so upset, I am so sad. And that became real. Do you understand what I'm getting at? It's abstract because you learned about it in school until it's not. And when you suddenly realize, these were humans. It's kind of like what they tell us in acting. Angel, you'll dig this. In acting, they say, don't forget, these people lived real lives. They were people. They were human. They had doubts. They had dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like, we choose as a human species to choose how we perceive people, but in reality they were probably not that much different, just thrown into situations than you or I. And I'm close on this, and then we can have discussions where, who was it, Churchill, who said that there are no extraordinary people, just people who react extraordinarily under very, very pressurized conditions, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Anyway, go on.
Well, for me, history has always been well, not always, but as I got older, I mean, history is, we learn about famous people in history, people that did things that, were notable, at least, in my experience, that we learn about them. But for every one of those, there were thousands of other, knuckleheads like me, or some of it, who just went about their lives doing their job and never really, never became famous or got recognized or something. But so even if you go back to Rome, and well, it was Caligula, there was Caesar, and there was a lot more everyday schmucks walking around doing their job, trying to make a living, trying to get through life. I mean, so that's what, and right now, I mean, it'll, when I'm old enough that I can say to myself, okay, I can think back to like John F. Kennedy, and he's portrayed as a tremendous, historical figure, and a very sad thing happened with him. And yet, I remember going through that. And now when you look back at it as a historical thing, it's kind of weird because, you see it in a book, but I was there, and you don't think that every day that you're on Earth, there's history being made that someday some of that will be studied by somebody 100 years from now.
True.
Let's hear from Emma. Emma, any thoughts?
Well, I think about my mortality every now and then. About a month ago, I decided that I wanted to record a song I wrote. I said, well, shit, I'm going to be 66 pretty soon. I might as well get this done, do the things I want to do. I wrote this song like almost 10 years ago. Take That Space Has Got Your Name on It. You know? And that's the message to me. Take that space, it's got your name on it. My name is still alive.
Yeah,
right.
Good for you. Hey, Emma, I gotta tell you something. I've been taking guitar lessons for, I don't know, a year, maybe a year and a half now. And this place that I started going to about a year ago, the girl that owns it said to me last week, and finally we're back to face instead of on Zoom. And she said, next Friday, meaning this Friday coming up, we have this thing, people come in and play. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I don't play very well, but today they started on me again. So supposedly Friday night, I have to play a song on my guitar and sing. So, no.
Yay!
No,
Hey, what's going on the weekend of October 1st? Are you doing anything that weekend? message me because I got a free weekend. I got to decide where I'm going to go.
Okay.
I'm
I don't
clearly
know.
not going to go up and hang with Steve Gott. That's probably out of the question at this point.
He
But
hasn't
I'm
really
getting
done any
kicked out of
live
the
things. I used to get things that he was doing that live thing like twice a day. I haven't seen anything in about a week. I have to do my movie stuff starts this. I have 2 shoots on Saturday. I shoot Saturday, Sunday, and then following Saturday, and then I'm done with that thing. But I just got picked up by a new agent today in Miami. So
What?
yeah, well, big deal. It
Jesus.
doesn't mean anything. That means somebody else might submit me to shit, and who knows?
Well,
But-
yeah, but still.
Yeah, still, whatever. We'll see what happens. But it's
Well, I'm going to go on a road trip. It's the first weekend of October. It's the member guest, and I always have to leave. So I got to
Okay.
figure out where I'm going.
yeah. I have to. I don't know exactly. I might. Yeah, I don't know yet either. What I'm.
Because if
gonna
I
do.
come down there, I could visit with my stepson and his girlfriend, and I could maybe meet Grady Judd, my boyfriend, the sheriff. He doesn't know he's my boyfriend, but he kind of is. I just love
I
him.
mean, hey, Angel, that sounded like. Have you ever heard? What's her? She's Vietnamese. The comedian who does the whole thing in the nail salon.
Oh my
my
gosh!
Oh, but
I
she's
don't
not
remember.
Vietnamese. She's Hispanic.
He doesn't know he's my
Oh,
boyfriend.
you're
He's
so
my boyfriend.
pretty.
Rebecca
Why
something.
You know what? Don't nail. You
Yeah.
don't have boyfriend. You
Yeah,
pretty like
she's-
Cheetah.
She's a Mexican, I think, actually. She's from LA.
No. This
Right?
girl is Asian.
Angela.
Angela something.
Yeah.
I don't
Johnson?
think she's Asian. Is she really Asian?
Emma,
Yeah,
have you
she's-
seen that little bit about this? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
I like
Do you
It's
want
so funny.
make
You
your
get-
nails
you get-
sparkle like diamond in the sky?
You have raps. You get boyfriend.
Yeah. You're so pretty, like cheerleader or something.
Her name's Angela Johnson.
$5 extra.
You sound just like her, Angel.
And
I've watched it probably like 50,000 times, like no joke. And it's like,
That is-
oh, wait, well, this one's a little crooked. What? No, that's your finger. I fix it for you, just $5 more.
She's worth $500,000, so she's not
No, I
doing
used
bad.
to tell my recruiters, I was like, if you guys would even have half the sales ability of people in a nail salon or those people out in the mall hawking up their lunches, like sample, have a sample. My God, if recruiters would have done that, they would have been millionaires. It's like,
Okay,
I can
let me clarify. Let me clarify. She's Mexican and Native American. That's what I thought. She's Hispanic.
What's her name?
Yeah.
Angela.
Angela Johnson Reyes. Angela
Yeah.
Johnson Reyes. You can tell she's Mexican. She is one of 5 children. And
Yeah, that's not racist.
and
That's
no,
not
it's
like
not. And that's one of the
Mexican.
low numbers for a Mexican family. But anyway, yeah. And her big claim to fame, which I personally didn't think was that tremendous, but it hit hard, was that nail salon bit.
That nail salon thing's freaking hysterical, dude.
She's got other stuff, but that nail salon hit
Yeah,
the
that's
hardest.
the funniest.
But
I
we would
watched
call
all
that,
of
at
her
this
stuff.
moment, we would call that us Asians, and I'll stand up for Asians. Right?
I just think it's
Cultural
hysterical.
appropriation.
But hey, anyway, so I gotta
Cultural
run, guys.
appropriation. Go ahead.
I gotta run.
Like she's got Kent Scav.
You
more
got the
important.
runs? What?
Would you say that queer?
No, I didn't say that queer. Nobody said. Kent is not. He's hetero Nazi-esque, if you will, and I didn't say Nazi. He's certainly
So I
dictatorial.
didn't tell you guys about last week. So I told him how I was like, just so you know, say my producer of my show though, he did some classes with you, but he told me not to think that you're going to be warm fuzzy with me because you're not. That you're like bam, 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 and I think he babies me a little bit more, like I like it, but you're not going to do that. And he started laughing, and so then we do our whole night, and then he goes through to every person to see what they thought of each part we did, and he did me last. Yeah, he was like, so Angel, on this and this, I mean, it was all good. I was like, damn, I don't need to be paying you money. I'm got this shit down. But I'm going to keep doing it because it is good training and it's something to do.
Well, I gave him a compliment. I gave him a compliment. You know that because I said he has good taste because he liked me. He thought I was funny. At least he told me that when I was about to give him money.
Right. Yeah. No, I actually, it goes so quickly, like the hour and a half. It does go quickly. But you know, par for the course, I'm late. So
All right,
I
go,
was
go,
late
go
last
in,
week.
Go
go
ahead.
in.
All right.
You don't want to get
I'll
him
see you
mad. Take care.
Sunday.
Sunday. Sunday
Bye-bye.
fun day.
Well, then
Bye-bye.
it's Sunday fun day. I don't know how to turn off.
Bye.
We'll figure it out. Let's see. Nope, not there. Let's just do this. Okay, bye
Leave
guys.
meeting.
Love you.
Bye.
Love you too.
Leave that button.
Okay, she's still around now, is she?
That leave button is so final.
Yeah.
It is. Says it all.
Did you ever hit the leave button before you're supposed to?
I
Yeah.
cut people off, and then I feel bad about it.
I know.
You know, they still talking, and I'm like, well, see ya, and then and I accidentally, well, no, I mean, not accidentally, I pushed the button.
Speaking of getting old, looks like you're ready for bed. So am I, you see, with the pillow and stuff.
I'm just plain bored. I'm just bored because I've been just, you know, this COVID thing. You know what I mean? Like that's. I don't know how Lennon and Emma and Joel you feel, but it's slowed everything
you know,
down. Go ahead, Emma.
The CDC already told us that the 94% of the tests are wrong. 94% of the people that were tested as positive, that was incorrect.
Yeah.
I'm so over this shit. You know, like enough already. I mean, it's obviously in my head, a lot of it is being pushed because of the election, and it's being, you know, it's trying to use it for something in the election. I mean, it is a sickness, a disease. A lot of the people, especially in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, so many of the people who died were because of the situation they were forced to be put in. You know, I don't know. I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm over it too.
You know, so, oh well.
Yeah, it's who do you believe? Now the controversy with the CDC director and Trump. Trump doesn't agree with what he said. You know, he's not saying anything.
Well, his Trump's press secretary, they were after her today, and she tried to clarify something he said about, you know, masks and stuff like that, and you know that and that thing he did last night where he had people asking him questions, and some of his answers, they're trying to rip it apart and stuff. And first of all I thought was, how about, I can't imagine he didn't have any of those questions ahead of time, but they said, you know, anybody could ask any questions, so that's fine. Could you see Biden doing that without a teleprompter? I don't think he could.
Hell no. He would
Yeah.
not.
His
I
problem.
don't think he could. So, I mean, the fact that the guy, I've never seen I don't remember ever, and I watched a couple things passing through, but I don't ever remember a president or a presidential candidate doing anything like that, where they actually, you know, sat there and had people, you know, asking questions, anything they wanted to ask. That was pretty, because if you don't know the questions in advance, man, you gotta, it's like, you know, Richard, as a lawyer, what in court, you don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, to just go in that situation, forgetting on who he was or anybody, going in a situation where you could get asked questions and you have no idea what they would be, that's pretty scary. And if you can pull that off, you know, it's pretty good. I don't know.
Did he pull it off? I didn't see it.
Obviously, yeah, I think it depends on, I think he did a pretty good job from what I saw. But again, you know, obviously, you know, people are going to try and tear it apart. If they don't like him, you know, it's like, is the cup half full or the cup half empty? It depends on where you stand.
Depends what channel you're watching, CNN or.
Yeah, you know, he did this, he did that. Who cares? You know, I think many people already have made up their minds, and you know, there's people out there that haven't, and you know, something will come along, or they won't even vote. In New Jersey, you can't go to a polling place. The only way you can go to a polling place is if you lose your mail-in, you know, ballot, because they're mailing it to everybody. They're mailing it to every address. They're not checking anything. So, you know, if it goes to an address, anybody can pick it up and mail it back. And you don't even have to be a citizen in New Jersey to vote, which I think is completely absurd. Well, and I mean, that's, you know, the idea here is that you have to be a citizen to vote in an election like that, but there it's not going to matter, and probably not in New York either. So
no, that's 2 states won't matter.
Yeah,
He's gonna win by landslide anyway.
hopefully.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he's going to win by a landslide. I don't get. I'm not feeling it, because I think, as I said earlier in this cycle, that I think every gay, every lesbian, every radical kid, 18 and we can vote at 18, right?
Yeah.
Plus, they're going to get down there. They're going to get down and vote. And I even see them on the street in New York. I'm walking around various things in Manhattan, and they're out there really recruiting. Now we all know, of course, New York is not going to make the difference in the election because it's going to go Democratic anyway. But I think there's a lot of people that are energized and that are really, really recruiting voters, and most of them are Democrats. And I don't, and he's wavering in a lot of states that he had last time. That's the problem.
According to, you know what, that wavering thing, that polling depends on who's doing the polling.
Bullshit.
Yeah, don't forget, he lost every state last time. There was not one state he was going to get killed in a landslide.
Right,
so, you know,
right.
You know, those polling organizations, he's got a group doing his own polling, and he's not telling anybody. And you know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure that, you know, he's got different information than what being put out. Because again, that's a tactic. If the media can put out there that, oh my God, just like they did in the last election, he's got no chance.
Right.
So people who are going to vote for him won't go vote because, oh, he's got no chance. What am I going to go for? But it didn't work. And
no, it didn't. It ain't gonna work this time either.
Well, people have gotten, if anything, I think people are more cynical now for on every side than they were before, because there's so much bullshit being put on the, you know, on the news that it's hard to, you can see a story and, you know, two different sides. It's insane. Did you see what the sheriff out in LA did with LeBron? He challenged LeBron to, they put, for the two people that got shot, he challenged LeBron to match the reward amount they're offering to find out who shot those two cops.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I don't think LeBron has responded.
Yeah, that's right.
And by the way, not for
only
nothing.
100,000. That's pennies to LeBron.
Right, but not for nothing. But by the way, you know, that was a completely disgusting thing. What they did afterwards, which was go to the hospital and I saw the videos of this, hope they die and all this, and you know, and they had the BLM flag and all that stuff, and I would have thought, you know, some of the celebrities would have said something, you know, that, well, that's not what we stand, or the organization itself would come out and say, no, we don't look to that kind of behavior where you're outside a hospital screaming, hope they die. I mean, I think if you're an organization that's, you know, supposedly looking out for people, you wouldn't condone that kind of activity. You would come out and say, no, we don't stand for that. You know, we're for helping people, but we're not for that. But they haven't done any of that. You know
that
what I mean?
organization has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's ridiculous because, you know, whatever. It's pointless to, you know, but it just frustrates me. And these athletes who go out, you know, defend a guy like Jacob Blake, who is a criminal and who raped a girl multiple times, or at least he's accused of that, and did it that night. You know, they have his name on their helmets. I mean, what are you thinking? I mean,
and George Floyd, the same with him. I saw a porno flip with him in it. And, you know, he didn't he rob a woman or something with a gun to her belly?
He had committed a home invasion, and I don't know what else happened.
Who, George Floyd?
With a woman.
He held up a woman who was pregnant, put a gun against her belly, and threatened her. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and he was on meth and amphetamine. I mean, he was on a whole bunch of stuff, and plus he had a serious heart condition. I mean, it's not really to do anything right. It's to incite. It's like, you know, it's because the people who are running that organization now are probably living like kings. You know, they get, you know, they have whatever they want and whatever they need, and they don't, you know, it's not really, you know, that's that. It's like the guy. Remember Jim Jones and those people that, you know, his little church where he came to South America. He got to the point where he did whatever he wanted, and that's very, you know, and the other people who are believing in all this stuff, and, you know, they're like, ha ha ha, you know, we're working out pretty good, you know. Anyway, I got to get going too, so.
All right. We will see you Sunday.
Guys on Sunday.
See you
All
then.
right. Bye.
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 Bye, Lenny.
I didn't ask Lenny where he was going though. I mean, I
Go,
know that Angel had to go to a class, but where was Lenny going?
go to bed.
Maybe, yeah. Well, you heard what he said. His health may not be fantastic.
Well,
My
yeah.
health is okay. Joel, you were recovering from your surgery. Emma, are you doing good, health wise?
I am doing good for a 65-year-old. I'm doing good.
Good. Wow, you're up there with us.
Yeah.
You're born in what, 55?
I was born November 54.
Whoa, wow, Joel.
54? Okay. Well,
November.
64, 65 is the new 55, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, we're born in 56, me and Joel. But I mean, I was always the youngest at everything I did, so I can't imagine how I got to this, where now I walk into anything I do and I'm the youngest person, except for this show.
Yeah. Yeah, some of these places I go to, like, you know, a lot of people retired, and I said, I'm the youngest person here. Sometimes, I don't know. But sometimes you're not, that you go into the city sometimes and you go to, I don't know. I haven't gone to the city in a while, but, certain places, you are maybe the oldest person there, if like a bar or something like that. You know what I'm talking about.
I'll go to improv class, like
Yeah.
when I was doing that before the COVID thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely, I was the oldest. No question about it, hands down. But yet I'll play because that's what I love about improv. You can
Right.
play any age and any ethnic group or whatever. It's wide open now. Like
Right.
maybe in the old days, back in the 80s or 70s, they would, you would feel it like, well, why is he playing a woman? Or why is he playing, what I mean? Now you can do whatever you want. So it's
Right.
kind of fun, you know what I mean? But definitely when I look around the room, I'm like, these people, because if I get off on like a, not necessarily sexual, but kind of like a flirtatious improv or something, I can see them thinking, oh, this mother effer, old guy, horny old guy, you know what I mean? Dirty old man or something,
All right. Yeah. But they come to you for advice, because you're like the mentor.
No, I'm never the mentor. I'm always
No.
that oddball weirdo,
Right.
that is funny, at least in the improv classes. But then again, that's how I play. You know what I mean? I go to improv class. I don't really like mix it up with them. I don't get into, I don't try to personally get to know them. I just do
Right.
my thing and work on being funny and work on being in the scene. That's just
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm running the improv group, which is a whole different thing. So then
Right.
I'm impressing them by what I know, and I'm a director and all that. But Emma, do you direct anything? You're a singer, but do you have your own band or something?
I've directed choirs before at a couple of different churches.
Okay.
I've directed my own. I've had bands before, 2 bands, and I was a director.
But do you go out and do shows right now? I mean, it's COVID, I know, but
The bars are closed. Sunday, I got an offer to do a show at Trader Sam's. It's up the street here on Geary. It's like one of the the longest standing tiki club,
oh, okay.
tiki bar. And so I'm going to be setting out my karaoke machine and singing some songs.
You're getting paid.
And,
Getting paid for that. That's
and then,
good.
like for about 6 weeks in a row here at Trader Joe's, they had me entertaining people that were standing in line waiting to get into the store.
Singing again, or what were you doing?
My singing Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Barbara Streisand, just singing my favorite songs.
On
that I have
karaoke? On karaoke?
On CDs on my karaoke machine, yeah.
Interesting. Great.
And then the Bohemian Club invited me last Sunday to come down and play. So I'm going to give them a call and see if the offer still stands.
If you were in New York, if you were in New York and it wasn't COVID, you would be one of my guest singers on my band. 'Cause in my band, we have a tremendous amount of guest singers, and we have a lot of musicians who are guests. But I call it the band, and the violin and
Yeah.
etc.
My Sunday night did it like that.
Yeah. So yeah, but who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
that we'll do that someday.
Yeah, okay.
I got to pick up my
Yeah, on
guitar.
Sunday nights I used to sing it.
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
You
Go
get
ahead.
your guitar?
Well, yeah, I used to play guitar, but I have to start picking it up again. And
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I just started, since I'm, as I get older, I'm trying new things out. And so now I'm wearing eyeshadow because of the mask, I think.
But you said
So,
Sunday nights you do
for
what?
a month I didn't wear an eyeshadow.
Emma, you said Sunday nights. What do you do?
I used to, for the last 7 years, I've been performing at this club called Swig in Union Square here in San Francisco. And on Sunday nights, it's actually a kind of like an open mic.
Mm.
It's we call it jam session.
Okay.
So yeah, people come from all over. It's a tourist club. So
Mm.
they come and they bring their, whatever they want to do. They sing, they can get on the drums, or they can play guitar, or whatever they want to do. That's our Sunday night jam session.
And is that open now, or
I'm officially the lead vocalist, but
is that open now, or is it COVID shut
no,
down?
the bar is closed. They closed, but when they open up, we'll be doing it again.
Okay. If this
We were
wasn't
their
COVID,
number one band.
if this wasn't COVID, Dr. Chen, I say let's get on a plane and go there. The Union Square. That's like in New York. We have a Union Square here, right?
Yeah, but you know what? San Francisco has had its share of problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who. That's one of the major protest centrals, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
What I've been seeing. Is that right, Emma?
Yeah, it's pretty cool here, though.
It's all right?
They're not protesting anymore.
They're not blocking the streets and attacking people in cars or anything like that?
No.
In New York, they shut down the George Washington Bridge just the other day, like last Saturday or something. Joe, you heard about that?
They shut down the George Washington. No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter. They marched from Washington Heights and from New Jersey, believe it or not. The two Black Lives Matters groups met in the middle. It was kind of like D-Day or something. Not D-Day. I mean, like where the Russians and the Americans met in Berlin or something. And then they marched into Washington Heights and got into a fight with the people at the precinct on the Washington Heights side of the bridge. But they shut down traffic for like 20 minutes. And I may have opened my mouth, and maybe they heard me. I said, well, if they really wanted to shut anything down, they'd march onto the major thoroughfares of New York and shut it down. Because that would get everybody mad. I don't know about you, Joe, but I'd be freaking pissed
Oh
if
my
I'm
God.
stuck in a Black Lives Matter.
I would say so. Anybody. I don't care who they are.
Yeah, no thanks, people. Listen, you got to take your Black Lives Matter and focus, what you're doing. And, like, okay, you go down to D.C. and you shut down a few government buildings, all right, but come on, the George Washington Bridge and the Cross Bronx Expressway or the Major Deegan, or these are all highways in New York, Emma. Grand Central Parkway. LIE, if they shut that down, now they're going to have trouble with me. That's how I get back here. Well, they march on it. You know how they do it, and they just stop the cars on the highway, so you can't. You're stuck in a tremendous traffic jam that looks like it's never going to end because they're, you know what I mean. They're causing problems.
Well, I try to stay away from the Cross Bronx Expressway at all costs. We know about that.
Yeah. I'm never on the Cross Bronx, but they marched on that too.
Yeah, because it's always traffic there, and might as well add to it if you're going to go there.
Yeah. But I guess
there are nice bridges too. I look at bridges now, like a lot of these bridges, like the Tappan Zee Bridge, which they just built, and some others. People like walking across it now with bikes and things like that. So there are pleasant things about it too. But there's also can make it bad too.
Yeah, Cross Bronx never had anything pleasant since I've known it since we were kids.
No,
there's no way you get on that Cross Bronx if you can avoid it. If you know New York, you're not getting on the Cross Bronx.
Right.
San Francisco, I know nothing about. I've been there twice. It's not one of my favorite cities, though, quite honestly, Emma.
That has big hills, bigger hills than us. That's how I remember doing that. going all the way down. I took a car down. I forget the name. What's that? The big hill there. And went all the way down. I thought I was going to die actually, but the hill was so long, and I know sitting on those brakes, those brakes working, and then you get to the, the seaport there, or the wharf there.
Yeah.
So it's to me it's like to me it was similar to New York in terms of weather when I went. This was years ago, but it was just more, bigger hills, as far as I saw,
They had some scary streets though, because some of them they're worse than the streets in the Bronx with the stairways going down
Right.
the so-called hill, but
Are
it's
you
really
talking about San Francisco?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
The hills we're talking about that I went years ago. I experienced a car ride on a hill with a bad brake, so it kind of scared me a little. That's all.
The Chinatown was, to me, I mean, I heard so much about it since I was a kid. Then you go over there, and it's very spread out, and it's not. I mean, it's Cantonese style Chinatowns. It's not even as impressive as some of the more modern, if you will, Chinatowns in the country, like Monterey Park or Alhambra, or that's in California.
Yeah.
Or
Chinese restaurants aren't doing too good right now out here.
oh no,
Not Chinese.
what's the problem?
Chinese.
Why they don't go to the restaurants, or they're closed with COVID, or
That's why. What's the name?
oh,
Nancy
COVID.
came
Yeah.
out here trying to encourage everybody to come visit Chinatown. A month into the shutdown.
Yeah, now I get it. Yeah, the COVID, that it started as a so-called the Chinese virus, Kung flu, in the words
Yeah,
of
so-
Trump.
So that makes that everybody thinks it's in the food now. Come on.
Yeah,
You know how people are.
Yeah.
yeah, fearful. That's for
You
sure.
Not that
know, I
I'm
was just thinking that
But
the real collusion,
yeah,
like they're talking about Trump and Russia, is
Yeah.
actually the Bidens in China.
yeah. So I was reading, but that makes sense though. When
Yeah,
you got
Biden-
you got no, I mean these kind of like you have relatives and they all want to take advantage of your situation and get in on it. So his son, the one that's alive, obviously, somebody offers him to be on the board of some Russian thing and make a deal. Okay, I'll do it. And he had nothing about it. Knows nothing about it. China the same way. Nothing at all. No. Obvious what he was doing and what they were doing, and the Chinese were the same with him as well.
So what's happening with TikTok?
Yeah, they're back and forth.
TikTok,
Good.
supposedly Oracle now. If you know Oracle, I'm not that familiar with them, but they're trying
Oh, Oracle
to.
bottom?
They're trying to. They're not bought them. TikTok will remain a partial owner, but the
Oh, I see.
information part of it, the part that everybody's worried about, that ByteDance might get your information. Supposedly Oracle will
Oh,
show
yeah,
the
that's
government
right.
how they're going to protect it and all. That's all a bunch of BS.
Right.
Even
They got it already.
yeah, you can't even trust the Americans having it. How can you trust anybody having it?
God.
Yeah, they got it already.
Yeah, but the majority of the people that are successful on TikTok, really, who cares if they get their information? The girls dancing with, pulling down their tops and stuff. Come on now. They're kids.
Well,
There's more.
Yeah, they're kids basically on there. I mean, I showed them on the show, the ones I like on there, and I have to admit they're very attractive young people, I guess is the way to put it. Most of them are not under 18, but I read that a lot of the viewers are like, the average viewer is like 14 years old on TikTok.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. But we're still on there, but we don't have the kind of numbers like, oh my God, obviously. We get 3 and we're happy. Some of them got millions of people following them and liking their stuff and all that. So it's a whole nother world. And I think
Well, I posted this.
huh?
I posted our episodes on my Facebook page.
Good, yeah. We'll see where it goes. I mean, this is a fun outlet for all of us that are on the show, though. And now we're doing the Wednesdays as a show. Like after we finish, I'm gonna have this converted on my computer, and then I'm gonna send it to be posted on our website. So you never know. Maybe we'll hit with the old people because that's the way it's turned out for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about old people's topics,
Yeah.
like worried about our mortality and life on other planets and what's going to happen after we're gone and all this other stuff. So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you can
Oh, I
start.
had a friend that wants to.
You go ahead.
Are we gonna have guests? I mean, other people that like we can give the link to, they could come on the show, or is
Yeah.
that not?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We haven't done much of that recently because of all the different shakeups and stuff. And also, we're trying to get enough more time for the people on the show. And it's working to have more
Okay.
time to talk and express your opinion. Like, Emma, you're having a lot of time tonight compared to what you've had when we had, 8 or 9 people on the show, right? But again, for Saturday,
Yeah.
Sundays, we should all prepare at least 5 minutes, like what we want to just express without being interrupted or whatever. Again, up to 5 minutes. You don't have to do a full 5 minutes. Joe, you're going to be ready, right?
I'll be ready. I'll be ready with something.
Yeah.
Any topic or just anything?
Anything that you want to talk. We could even go back to what we were just talking about earlier. Life on other planets, what happens after we die, our
Yeah.
mortality, how we look at death in this society.
Vaccine.
Huh? The what?
I said, what happens after we get the vaccine?
Oh, my God.
I will talk about somebody. This lady said, "I'm not going to be the first one to use it." She was saying to me on the
I'm
street.
not getting it. They're gonna have to kill me to give it to me.
If you're healthy, there's some question whether or not you should really try it out because who knows what would happen. But anyway, we'll leave that for Sunday. We'll talk about that on Sunday.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Good show, folks, and we'll
All right.
see you guys on
All
Sunday. Take care.
Okay. Take care now.
Okay.
Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye bye
Bye.
bye.